weather the opening week of April, you can't ask for any better than this. Mother Nature clearly in an opening day kind of mood. And what better town to do it than Cincinnati? And look, the manager, the last World Series champion, Cincinnati Reds, Lou Piniella, throwing out the first pitch of his 2016. Of course, Lou was a grand marshal earlier today of the Findlay Market Parade, basking in sunshine. And nothing but a bright smile for Lou Piniella. Tens of thousands congregating along the banks in downtown Cincinnati. Brian Price beginning his third year as manager. Brandon Phillips another go-round with his running mate Votto and Jay Bruce. It's opening day for the oldest franchise in all of professional baseball. We're at Great American Ballpark, the Cincinnati Reds and the Philadelphia Phillies, and we're delighted to be with you. Hi again, everybody, alongside Chris Welsh and Jim Day. I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome to opening day 2016. Well, a lot of build-up. We've been talking about it since we were out in Arizona in spring training. Here we are, and getting the ball, the 26-year-old Cuban, Raisel Iglesias.
A lot of the talk in spring training were question marks about this pitching staff, but one guy you really don't have to question at all is the ability of Raisel Iglesias. 16 starts last year. This young 26-year-old Cuban has earned the right to be the opening day starter. Probably would have not gotten the start had Anthony DeSclafani been healthy, but he's out there today, and I'm sure that once he's able to quell some of those butterflies that he's got and realizes how important this is, he'll be back to his game, and his game is a lot of game. A lot of breaking stuff, good fastball, great mound presence. I love to watch this kid pitch.
Well, the guy you love to watch play down at first base, a fixture, the very face of this franchise, is Joey Votto. It should be noted during the pregame warm-up, he did not come out for the introduction, so we're hoping everything's okay with him. It looks like it is.
Well, a moment ago, I did see him come out of the dugout, run a couple of mini sprints out in the outfield to get warmed up, so evidently he's going to be okay. But it was odd to see him not come out when he was introduced. I've never seen that before, but maybe he had some issue that he had to take care of. Anyway, looks like the starting nine will be on the field, or we're almost ready to play ball.
Devin Mesoraco's back. Zach Cozart is back. We're excited. We know you are too. We're going to say hello to Jim Day when we come back. Opening day in Cincinnati. What a day already. And of course, we're just getting warmed up on Fox Sports Ohio.
All right, the weather, it is changing. We were in the 60s at parade time. Not going to happen for game time. I hope the fans brought along the coats. We're falling into the upper 40s, low 50s now. By the time the game wraps up, low 40s, gusty winds blowing out are going to make wind chills go all the way down into the 30s. Those winds pick up after the 7th inning. It is going to get colder as the game goes on out here at Great American Ballpark. Let's send it down to a man who's going to be battling in the cold. The one and only Jim Day joins us now. Jim?
Thank you very much. It is with a bit of heavy heart that we bring you this opening day. It's the first time in a long, long time that the great Bernie Stowe is not with us. Passed away in the offseason in 1947. At the age of 12, he became the Reds bat boy and parlayed that into a career in baseball as the Reds clubhouse manager. 67 straight opening days Bernie Stowe attended, and he was much more than a clubhouse manager. He was a father figure to countless generations of Reds players. Bernie Stowe will be honored all season long. This is a Joey Votto jersey, and on the sleeve will be a Bernie Stowe patch that the Reds players will not only wear today, they will wear all season long. And speaking of the weather, there was supposed to be rain today. I have a feeling Bernie Stowe and Knucksy parted the clouds and had to do with keeping the rain away. But it's opening day. It's a celebration of baseball. First pitch is next.
Cuba defecting in November of 2013. Now Raisel Iglesias sprints to the mound as the Reds opening day starter. First opening day start for Raisel Iglesias, a second Cuban-born pitcher to start an opening day for the Reds since their Hall of Famer Dolph 1920s did it twice. I imagine those butterflies, even though Chris, he threw nearly 100 innings last year, are swirling around right about now.
You better believe it, Tom. You know, the other thing about Iglesias, that he kind of really beat the odds by being the opening day starter, because when he came into camp, he was held back. They wanted to have him go through a strengthening program for his shoulder. They didn't think that he had the right kind of flexibility or strength. So we got a little bit of a late start in spring training. Oftentimes, those pitchers that get late starts pitch in the back of the rotation. But with all the injuries the Reds have had in their rotation in the spring, Iglesias was essentially the best man standing, and here he is.
140th opening day game for the Reds. They're 14th at Great American Ballpark. It's a strike one pitch as it's fouled out of play by Cesar Hernandez. And the 2016 championship season is underway here at Great American Ballpark. Reds in their home white, Phillies in their road gray with a red trim. And a ball and a strike to Hernandez. Played in 127 games a year ago. Stole 19 bases, hit .272, drove in 35 runs. Straight away center field, hit well. Hamilton going to get it, and a step short. And that is a ground rule double by Hernandez to begin the game. Pete Mackanin, a one-time Reds interim manager, as well as a one-time Pittsburgh general interim manager. Here's his lineup. Herrera, the center fielder, coming up. Maikel Franco, he's their big building block at third. Ryan Howard still around, so is Carlos Ruiz. Cedric Hunter in the big leagues for the first time in 5 years. Been a career minor leaguer. He's in left. The former Cardinal Borges in right. Freddie Galvis at short. Jeremy Hellickson is on the mound. Will the Phillies play for an early run and ask Herrera to put down a bunt here in the opening inning? Not on the first pitch. Strike one.
Interesting story. Herrera, he was a Rule 5 draft last year, and really in recent history one of those Rule 5 draftees that worked out almost like none other. This is what he did after being plucked out of the minor leagues from another organization. Nearly hit 300. He's got plenty of speed, stole 16 bases. And as being a left-handed hitter, you figure that he would naturally be able to roll on over to the right side and at the very worst advance the runner.
Broken bat flare down the left field line, out of play. It's 0-2. The Phillies have had pretty good luck with that Rule 5 draft. You mentioned for Herrera having a good year last year. Go all the way back to when they signed Shane Victorino as a Rule 5 draft, and he was really one of the main cogs in those Phillies teams that reach a playoffs 5 straight years, including winning the World Series.
And they have a Rule 5 draftee on the roster this year. Coming into camp, the Reds had 2 in camp. Both of them have been returned to their source ball club, although there's still a chance the Reds could get them, but they'd have to do it in a trade. So they pay $25,000 each for the look-see. If you want to get them back now, you've got to trade a prospect in return.
I remember Raisel Iglesias last year had a 3-start stretch where he fanned 10 or more. He could use his first strikeout this season, and barely getting a piece is Herrera, still 0-2.
You know, the thing that will stand out in watching Raisel Iglesias is his command of that fastball, and he commands it from a lot of different arm angles, not just a guy that throws from one arm slot. When he drops down, he might throw the breaking ball, he might throw the fastball. In that respect, he reminds me a lot of Bronson Arroyo, with a better fastball.
A double to begin the game by Hernandez. He's at second, nobody out, nothing in 2 on Herrera, and Iglesias to the plate, and another foul ball back to the screen.
And the other thing to think about and watch here as you see Iglesias team up with Devin Mesoraco behind the plate. Nearly all of the starts that Iglesias had last year, he had Brian Pena behind the plate. Brian Pena, a fellow Cuban, they communicated well. Iglesias does not speak much English, although he's working on it. So it's always trying to get used to a new catcher, and of course Mesoraco didn't have all that much catching in spring training.
Four consecutive foul balls by Herrera, and it remains no balls and 2 strikes. And now Mesoraco going to come out. Suarez, who of course is fluent in both English and Spanish, will come in case they need to fine-tune that communication. Bright sunshine on this April the 4th, 2016. Reds and the Phillies in the first of 3. Reds will be here through the weekend against the Pirates before they take to the road for Wrigley Field a week from tonight. Again, the 0-2. In and out of the mid of Mesoraco. Certainly Mesoraco's ability, how much will he be able to catch this year coming back from that surgically repaired hip? Devin playing in just 23 games all of last year, was scratched due to very cold and windy weather over the weekend in Indianapolis. Six consecutive foul balls off the bat of Herrera, and finally putting him away is Iglesias. An 8-pitch at bat, 8 consecutive strikes in the at bat.
And eventually went back to the good old number 1 and threw it right by Herrera. A 93-mile-an-hour fastball on the outside. That's a kind of a bat that can wear you down. Even though Herrera didn't benefit his team by moving the base runner over, I mean, you add a little bit of frustration to the pitcher there in the first inning by fouling off everything you throw up there.
Well, here's a young man the Phillies are very, very excited about. Maikel Franco, 23 years old, a native of the Dominican Republic. Looks at ball 1. Last year began the year in AAA, was called up on the 15th of May. In June, he had back-to-back 5 RBI games. First Philly to ever do that. Think about all the great sluggers they've had through their history. But then he fractured his wrist in mid-August. Played in 80 games, had 85 hits, nearly 40 of them for extra bases. In the air, left center field, that's Duvall. Second out of the inning, so they decide not to play for the early run, and they put down a bunt that makes it 1-0. Instead, 2 outs in the inning. The Reds on defense, presented by Ford. You just heard the name Duvall, his first ever opening day start in the big leagues. Billy Hamilton back in center, Jay Bruce in right. Votto, Phillips, Cozart returns at short, moving Suarez over to third, and Mesoraco a part of the batter with Iglesias. And here's Ryan Howard. Howard grew up outside of St. Louis, now 36 years old, a shadow of the one-time premier slugger really in the league, and Iglesias gets out of the inning after a leadoff double. So a scoreless top of the first. Cozart, Suarez, Votto coming up. The Reds bat for the first time this season when we return. Baseball on Fox Sports Ohio, brought to you by Chevy. Check out our award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. By Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good. It's Skyline time. Zach Cozart to start it here in the bottom of the first inning. Take a look at Brian Price's batting order. Cozart in that leadoff spot, followed by Suarez and Votto. Phillips, Bruce, and Mesoraco in the middle. Duvall, Iglesias bats 8th, Billy Hamilton 9th. At one time, Jeremy Hellickson looked like he would be one of the better pitchers for a long time in the American League.
Well, he did win the Rookie of the Year award back in 2011. Had an earned run average under 3. That was when he was pitching for the Tampa Bay Rays. Not an overpowering fastball pitcher. Runs it up there 91, 92 miles an hour. But his main weapon is a changeup. He'll throw that on just about any count. Also has a nice curveball. 9-12 last year.
And 9-12 in 27 games last year. His first full year back after the Tommy John surgery in 2014. Of course, the Reds are hoping, Chris, that Billy Hamilton can earn his way back into that leadoff spot and be a difference maker. But Brian Price says that's on Billy Hamilton.
Well, it is, and they gave him a long look last year. Was not able to get on the track to get on base.
Down the right field line, that is a fair ball into the corner for Cozart. And the Reds start the bottom of the first, the way Philadelphia started the top of the first to lead off double.
Boy, such a nice, easy swing on that approach for Zach Cozart. We were saying that at the beginning of the season last year when Zach Cozart got off to a tremendous offensive start. Hit some home runs, but more often than not, hit the ball where it was pitched. He does it that time, and for a guy that missed almost the entire season last year due to that ACL injury that he sustained, he's back right on track. In fact, he's still wearing that brace on his right knee.
So now the third baseman, of course, big shoes to fill from the all-star slugger Todd Frazier, is the former shortstop Eugenio Suarez. He looks at a strike. 24 years young, native Venezuelan. Played in 97 games for the Reds last year and certainly was one of the real bright spots on this Reds team. Good block by Ruiz, a ball and a strike.
Yeah, the more you see Suarez at the plate, the better you like him. He just looks like he's got great stage presence up there. The way he takes pitches, he doesn't lunge at him like he doesn't see him well. So he tells me that he sees the ball well, trying to get into a power slot every time, gets his foot down and gets loaded. It's a good looking young hitter.
14 home runs, 48 batted in those 97 games last year, spanning 372 at bats. 2 balls and a strike. Cozart leads out at second. None out here in the Reds' half of the first inning. And a slow roller that will advance the runner. And dropped by Howard, and the Reds are on the board, lead it 1-0.
That ball really wasn't even in the dirt to Ryan Howard. In fact, he tried to glove that ball with 2 hands, and it just kind of got off the back of his glove, rolled away outside of the first base coaching box, and far enough for Cozart to come around from second base. A very odd play. That's something you see in the first week in spring training.
It's an error on Howard. No RBI naturally for Suarez. But 2 batters into this season, and the Reds have a 1-0 lead, and now Votto coming off a spectacular year. Coming off the injury, this 32-year-old Canadian, 4-time All-Star. Hit .314 last year. Drew a Major League Baseball leading 143 walks. Had 29 home runs and 80 runs batted in. And as good as Votto was, especially over the second half of last year. Now, granted, it's only spring training, I don't know if I've ever seen a hitter in my life more locked in than he was in Arizona this year.
It seemed like every time he wanted to hit the ball hard, he hit the ball hard.
On base percentage and nearly 43% of his trips to the plate. Hit over 450 did Votto.
And remember that when you're a starter like Votto and you play in spring training, you're normally playing against other teams' major league pitching. If you play late in the game, you're facing a kid going back to Double-A.
Great point.
Votto was out of there by the 5th inning facing all big league pitchers.
Votto last year became the first National League player to finish in the top 3 in the MVP voting while on a team that lost 98 or more games. Imagine that. There have been last place teams, i.e. Andre Dawson of the Cubs, that still won an MVP award, but not to lose 98 or more. Got to go all the way back to the 1950s. Votto the 3rd overall, joining Roy Sievers in '57 with Washington and Ned Garver in 1951 of the Browns. 0-2 to Votto. And Joey is our opening day steel power tool performer. Reds records last year, the walks, number of times on base, was on base incredibly 107 games, including 48 in a row, which tied Pete Rose for the franchise record. Votto gone, swinging, one away.
Votto had some unusual cuts in that at bat. I think that was a changeup that Hellickson threw right on the inner part of the plate. Rarely do you see a pitcher want to throw it right there, but Hellickson, if that's what that pitch was, it came in at 79 miles an hour, and it just kind of tied Votto up.
1 in, 1 on, 1 out, and now Brandon Phillips, .294 batter, had a nice bounce back offensive season last year. 12 home runs, 70 batted in, even added 23 stolen bases. That was more than he had in the 3 years combined prior to 2015. Cue shot off the end of the bat, strike 1. As it gets later and later into the afternoon, on television, those of you kind enough to join us today, bright sunshine, but it's starting to get chillier, by the minute, and the wind really picking up, swirling around down there on the field. These two teams last year combined to lose nearly 200 games. The Reds lost 98. Philadelphia lost 1 more than that. Short left center. Hunter gives way to Herrera for the 2nd out of the inning. Let's take a look at Philadelphia on defense, presented by Ford. Mentioned Hunter, Herrera, and Borges. Former Angel and Cardinal in his first game as a Philly. Franco, Galvis, Hernandez, Howard along the infield. And Carlos Ruiz. Ruiz and Howard more than likely, Chris, the last two standing from that great run of Philadelphia teams in the early part of this century.
Yeah, and really, I think there are a lot of Phillies that are thankful to see finally the last year of the contract for Ryan Howard. I mean, it's more often than not you see these really long contracts. When they get down to the last couple of years, it can be painful to watch. This year, the Phillies are going to platoon Ryan Howard and play him only against right-handed pitching. He doesn't have to worry about facing lefties or specialists coming out of the bullpen. Pete Mackanin has already had that talk with him. They've got that figured out, and that's the way they're going to go forward.
Boy, Father Time can be a cruel fella, because you think about all the incredible moments Ryan Howard has had as a Philadelphia Philly. He is truly one of the great players that has ever put on a Philadelphia Phillies uniform. He's in the top 3 in everything in the history of the franchise. And yet, Chris, for so many, this is a way he's going to be remembered. And it's a shame.
It is a shame, because if you go back to some of those postseasons, I mean, he was the MVP of a couple of those big Philly teams. I mean, the one guy that you never wanted to see come to the plate with the game on the line, no matter who was pitching for your team. Ryan Howard would come out of that on-deck circle, a full house at Citizens Bank Park, and he really disappointed.
Jay Bruce trying to have a bounce-back season. Some of the power numbers weren't bad last year, home runs, RBIs, that kind of thing. But overall, Bruce would be the first to tell you it was just a rough year. .226 batter, on base percentage at .294. Hit 26 home runs, drove in 87, and nearly 40 doubles. That's 2 years in a row where Bruce has said, that's not me. And I've got to be back to being the player I believe I am. Laying off that pitch would go a long way in helping.
Yeah, nibble right there by Jeremy Hellickson. He wants to throw that changeup and have that very aggressive left-handed hitter just swing from his heels. You lay off that pitch and you begin to get something that you can handle.
.3-1 and fouled over the screen to run the count full. So now Howard will back up behind the runner. Suarez will get a head start. 1-0 Reds here in the bottom of the first inning.
You know, the one thing we saw Jay Bruce do a lot in spring training, Tom, was lay bunts down, because he's got so many teams that have a dramatic shift against him. The Phillies are shifting here. There's nobody on this part of the infield, the left side of the infield, that is. But he's not going to bunt in this situation, not with a man on and 2 outs.
And that is the third baseman who cuts it off and throws out Bruce to end the inning. They take advantage of the Ryan Howard error. Good start for the Reds. 1-0 end of 1. Canelo. Raisel Iglesias, 18 major league starts. You go back over the last 17 seasons, and only 3 pitchers have made an opening day start with a fewer number of career starts than Iglesias.
Well, what we saw of him last year, even though he had a losing record, 3 wins, 7 losses, earned run average over 4, a lot of the damage was done in just a couple of different games. He just ran out of gas at the end of the year. But when he was at the top of his game, the number of strikeouts that he had, 3 games in a row in which he struck out 10 or more, and he didn't do it just by trick pitches. He was throwing fastballs by up in the zone. He was moving the ball around. Just did a really fine job of his first year in the major leagues.
Carlos Ruiz with a single into left field to begin the Philadelphia second inning. If you're just joining us, the Phillies got a leadoff double by Carlos Hernandez, but he never moved. Iglesias retired the next 3, and here comes Cedric Hunter. Hunter will be the first guy to tell you there is no luckier man on the planet than he. Nearly a career minor leaguer. He is playing in his first big league game, and he's played in all of 4 of them. 4 at-bats back in 2011 with the San Diego Padres. Over 1,150 minor league games for Cedric Hunter. Good for him.
Well, he was drafted by the Padres 2006, number in the 3rd round. Came out of high school, Decatur, Georgia. And he came into camp really as a long shot at making this Phillies ball club. But he had a very good spring. The Phillies were looking for outfielders. And combined with the fact that he's a left-handed hitter, had a nice spring, and they had some injuries that opened up opportunities, and he was right there at the right spot. Phillies are an organization very much like the Reds in that this is a completely rebuilding process that they're going into. They have a lot of prospects. There are position prospects down in the minor leagues.
Yeah, it's interesting with the Phillies, 8 of their top 10 prospects are position players. The Reds, 8 of their top 10 are pitchers.
And many of those prospects from either of those teams have come recently to the organization in trades that the team has made, sending away star players like Cueto and Mike Leake and Aroldis Chapman and so on. Same for the Phillies.
Breaking ball, a strike 3 called, and Hunter not sure about that. Bill Miller, the home plate umpire.
Now all it's got to do is cross a sliver of the plate. And Miller's right on it. You know, oftentimes you see those umpires on the inside slot, right over the inside shoulder of the catcher. And they don't miss that pitch normally when it's right on the corner.
Peter Bourjos tries to resurrect his career. Came over in the David Freese trade, you may remember, to St. Louis from Anaheim. He had lost regular playing time there after an outstanding rookie year, but the Angels were bringing in free agent players left and right, and then they brought up one of their very own, some kid named Mike Trout, and that was it for Bourjos. Last year played in 117 games and only a 200 hitter.
Well, he's a very good defensive player. One of the things the Phillies are emphasizing, they realize they don't have any sluggers in the organization ready to go with the big league, so they're going to emphasize defense. And that's why Bourjos is out there, because he's naturally a center fielder. Today he's playing right field, but I mean, they can cover some ground out there and give their pitchers as best a chance as possible to keep the score down.
Pitch. 2-1.
I know that the Reds are not exactly respecting the potential power of Peter Bourjos. If you look where Billy Hamilton is playing in center field, I mean, he is very shallow there. 2 strikes are going to move him a couple of steps towards right center.
And now it's 2-2 on Burgess. Burgess claimed on waivers back in early December. His father, Chris, was an outfielder for the San Francisco Giants and then later a longtime major league scout. Hails from Scottsdale, Arizona. 3-2 to Burgess. Taking a look down to one-time Cincinnati Red, Juan Samuel, the third base coach, and Mickey Morandini, longtime major leaguer, is the Phillies coach at first. At strike 3 called on a hook. Back-to-back strikeouts after a leadoff single. 3 strikeouts for Raisel.
You're right about the hook. This is a freeze job right here. When you see that batter buckle the way that Burgess does, that tells you that you've got pretty good deception going on.
Now Freddie Galvis played in all but 11 games last year. 7 home runs, 50 batted in, a .263 batter, and it's strike 1. Because of the very slow beginning to spring training due to that strength building program in Iglesias' shoulder. As here's a fly ball into deep right center field, and that will carry out of here. That is a 2-run home run by Freddie Galvis to put Philadelphia in front 2-1. He hit 7 all of last season.
And even on a cold day, the ball carrying pretty well here at Great American Ballpark. A little bit of a changeup going down and away, hung it higher than he wanted it, and Galvis got the fat part of the bat on it. Boy, that front row. There's more than one pitcher that has taken the mound here on both teams at Great American Park, saying if they could just move that fence back 1 more row.
That's why it was incredible through the years what Johnny Cueto was able to do in this ballpark year after year after year. Pitch as well as he did, and for a very short amount of time. The same held true for Matt Latos. I mean, 2 guys who were virtually unbeatable in this ballpark with an ERA in the 2s. Two and 2 on the pitcher, Hellickson. And the inning is over, strike 3. But 2-out damage done by Freddie Galvis. A 2-run home run to right. 2-1, Phil's in front. Night here at Great American Ballpark. We'll give you a chance to see the Reds walk the red carpet in the Kroger Fan Zone. If you're one of the first 20,000 fans, you get a team calendar presented by Kroger. And on Wednesday night, we'll have our first post-game fireworks show. Thanks to Kroger and the Reds' hometown brands. Love to have you here day after tomorrow, 710-381-REDS, or visit Reds.com. Galvis a 2-run home run, and the Phillies a 2-1 lead after an inning and a half. Great to have Devin Mesoraco back. Played just 23 games, 45 at bats, did not hit a single home run last year after clubbing 25 when he went to the All-Star game a year before. Had the left hip surgery on June the 29th to repair a torn labrum. I don't know about you, Chris. I never knew there was a labrum in your hip.
I did not either. But there have been a couple of other baseball players that have had labrum surgery.
Yes.
Alex Rodriguez, A-Rod has had it. Troy Tulowitzki has had it. Of course, neither of those players squat behind the plate for a living. But I think, like any surgery, as long as there's nothing structurally wrong and that the surgery was done right and his rehab is going to along, like any of us who've had any surgery at all, you always feel better the further you get away from that surgical date. So I got to figure that as the year goes on, he'll get stronger. He'll be able to catch more without any, complications, because the Reds certainly need his bat in the lineup, and they need Devin Mesoraco behind home plate.
Adam Duvall came over in the Johnny Cueto deal last year from the Giants, and he looks at a strike.
Interesting guy, because really when the Reds started the spring, they had an idea that Duvall might be the right-handed part of a platoon that would play left field. Of course, against a right-handed pitcher, most of the time you're going to see a left-handed hitter. That would probably be Scott Schebler. But Duvall had such a good spring that here he is in the starting lineup on opening day against the righty.
And I stand corrected. I said Johnny Cueto to the Giants. Johnny now plays for the Giants. It was the trade to the Giants of Mike Leake that brought Duvall over, so I beg your pardon.
Lots to keep up with.
Stay on it. We're crying out loud. In the air, left center field. Backing up to get it is Hunter, and there are 2 out. Brian Price last year, like a number of other managers, played the strategy of batting his pitcher 8th with Billy Hamilton today, and in many cases last year in the 9 holes. So Iglesias a batter with 2 down and none on.
And there's really more than one reason why Brian decided to do this year with Billy Hamilton right now. Number one, Hamilton's not leading off, so you got to bat him somewhere. And if you want to bat him lower in the order to get another speedster on base in front of your middle of the order guys like Joey Votto, 9th is where you do it. But if you bat him 8th, then sometimes a pitcher comes up, and Hamilton is such a base stealing threat. Is that, well, are you going to bunt the pitcher over, or are you going to wait to maybe Billy steal second base and then bunt him over? And then if he gets thrown out, and now you've got the pitcher leading the inning off if you have 2 outs. So there's a lot of reasons why you want to keep Hamilton out of the 8th hole, and that's where they're going to bat him in the 9th hole.
Back to the mound. It's a 1-2-3 inning for Jeremy Hellickson. We played 2 on opening day, 2-1 Philadelphia.
2016 on Fox Sports Ohio. I'm Jim Day. You know, most people didn't expect Jay Bruce to be manning right field right now for the Reds. It was an offseason filled with not only trade rumors, but trades that seemingly were done only to fall apart. It's been a tough situation. It went clear through spring training and now into today. I talked to Jay about the situation.
The Reds have meant so much to me in my career. They've been everything. I mean, as far as my baseball career goes, you know, and for me to have made it through, you know, everything as far as the trade rumors and stuff go, you know, regardless of why it didn't happen or it hasn't happened, is completely out of my control. And what's in my control is, you know, standing here in this locker room with these 25 to 24 other guys.
And Tom and Chris, you've been around the game a long time. You've seen similar situations, and guys handle it in different ways. I've never seen a guy handle it so well, and he's got more on his plate. His wife Hannah is in Houston expecting the birth of their son, so he is awaiting that call as well. A lot on his mind, but he has handled it in a first-class manner.
Well, Jimmy, you bring up a great point. I mean, you know, Jay Bruce, and then look, we watched this young man grow up. I mean, he was barely out of his teenage years when they brought him to the major leagues, and now he's yesterday turned 29 years old, two-time All-Star, but he has always been through the ups and downs, and he has very much had an up and down career. I don't mean year by year, but more like month by month. Never ducks the questions, never walks away from a bad game, never hides in the training room after one of those games you'd like to forget all about. He is just an outstanding young man, and you'd love to see him play well for however long it is he wears the Reds uniform, or for anybody else for that matter, if he ends up being traded. Hey, by the way, Jim, before the inning came to an end, I noticed, and we talk all the time about the unique relationship you've built through the years with so many of these Reds players, Joey Votto, Brandon Phillips, so many others. But I saw that that Billy Hamilton came over to you when he came out of the dugout to walk into the on-deck circle, threw his arm around you and said something to you down there. Anything that you care to divulge?
Well, I hope he doesn't care that I say this, but he said, "It's on this year. This is my year. I'm going to do it, Jim Day," and patted me on the back and went to the batting circle. So let's hope that confidence carries over.
Yes, indeed. And you can blame me if you know, if he is bothered that we shared that on the air. I threw you on the spot. You didn't know I was going to come down to you and ask you that. So you can kick me in front of the bus as you would do anyway.
At any opportunity, if it presents itself.
Wouldn't have it any other way. A leadoff single by Hernandez, his second hit. He had a double to lead off the game and did not score.
Now, a couple of throwovers already by Iglesias there with Hernandez on first. He swiped 19 last year. So he's definitely a threat, as is the guy in the batter's box right now. They've got some speed at the top of the lineup.
Good fastball, located fastball on the inside corner to get ahead.
One of the trendiest pitches here in the last few years, really made famous by Greg Maddux. The front door fastball, you throw a two-seamer, you clear your hips, you get good extension, and you throw it just a few inches off the plate inside to a left-hander. He bails out, it comes back over and touches the inside corner. Might be one of the best spots for a fastball if you can get that kind of movement.
Well, he tried to come in there again. I don't know how he missed it.
Neither does Herrera. In fact, I think that came so close he was limping.
I thought it did hit him from up here, but he's not arguing about it. Neither is Pete Mackanin. Reds are running the first. Philadelphia 2-run home run by Galvis in the second inning, and a 1-run Phillies lead. Leadoff man aboard here in the third. And now 3-2 on Odubel Herrera. Got to believe they'll start Hernandez. He had 19 steals a year ago. Yep. And it's in the air and playable for Hamilton. 1 out. Franco was signed in 2010 for $100,000 and hit a total of 19 home runs his first 3 seasons of professional baseball. Of course, he was a teenager. But then in 2013, he blasted 31 home runs in high A and double A and put himself very much on the fast track, winning the Phillies minor league player of the year.
Well, if you watch him hit, the first thing you notice, even watching in batting practice, he's got explosive power. The ball really jumps off his bat. But the other thing you watch from a pitching standpoint, he starts open with his front foot and he never really gets closed up. And that tells me here's a guy that wants to pull the ball. I mean, he's clearing his hips. He's letting it rip. A lot of his hits and home runs go to left and left center field. And if you come inside just like Iglesias did right there, you better come in off the plate, because if you leave it over the inner third, he'll lose it for you. But those guys that never do square up make themselves susceptible to that pitch going down and away. And that's where they're going to go right now.
And he barely got the bat on the ball, but did foul it off. 0-2.
Just watch where his front foot is, and he never really kind of gets it back towards home plate. Most guys that start open eventually gets at least squared up, meaning that their front foot is going to stride right back toward the pitcher.
Served into center field. That'll be a base hit. Didn't get it far enough outside from Franco, and there are 2 on with 1 out in the Philadelphia third. 5 hits now for the Phillies, and Howard coming up.
Well, you may say, well, it was a pretty good pitch that he hit, and it was. It probably wasn't even a strike, but he's figuring that Iglesias is going to go right back to that same spot and just got it up maybe a little bit too much.
Well, when one team loses 98 and another one loses 99, as these teams did last year, there are a host of reasons why. And one of the reasons for each of these teams had to do with being able to get a hit with runners in scoring position. The Reds hit .217. That was the worst in all of baseball. Phillies weren't much better. 5th worst. Their mark was .244. That Reds number was the worst since the 1988 Baltimore Orioles over the course of an entire year. 0-2 on Howard.
Sometimes it's not how many hits you get, it's when you get them.
For sure.
You know, the one thing that you do benefit, though, when you lose close to 100 games, the Phillies are going to pick first in the amateur drafts here come June. The Reds will pick second. And all teams that have been rebuilding and done a good job at it have normally had several years of really top draft picks. The Houston Astros lost over 100 games about 3 years in a row. The Cubs for years have had top draft picks, and now those are teams that are on top. Well, a lot of it's because they've been able to draft good talent.
Gone swinging is Howard, and that's 5 of them in the game by Iglesias. 2 out.
Good breaking ball right there. I mean, it has no hump in it. It's got a flat trajectory, and all of a sudden it just goes down under the bat. Just about every left-hander in the book likes it down and in, including Ryan Howard.
So now Carlos Ruiz, he singled his first time up. And he scored on the 2-out, 2-run home run to give the Phillies the lead by Galvis in the second. Two runs, 5 hits for the Phillies. Reds have 1 hit. That was the first batter of the season. Cozart a double and scored on an error by Howard. Fourteenth opening day here at Great American Ballpark. As many of you know, the Reds are professional baseball's oldest franchise. The 140th opening day game for the Cincinnati Reds. Played their first ever game in 1869 over at what was called Union Grounds into Avenue Grounds, Bank Street Grounds, League Park, Palace of the Fans, and then in more recent memory, Redland / Crosley Field, Riverfront Synergy Field to Great American Ballpark. Broken bat, fouled out of play. And the head of that bat right where Iglesias landed at left foot.
That ball is on the outer third of the plate. Yeah, it jammed the hitter. It just goes to show you how much Carlos Ruiz was thinking about taking that ball to right field.
One and two. Starting to talk before the home run by Galvis the last inning that because of the slow start to spring training, Iglesias did not pitch much during the spring. His longest outing was 3 innings in a regular game. But Brian Price was not in any way, shape, or form worried about Iglesias going into this start. And this should end the 3rd inning. Duvall coming in. And that sack. Phillies get a couple of hits. Reds will bat with Hamilton to start it in the 3rd, trailing 2-1. Only T-Mobile customers can get a free season-long subscription to MLB.TV Premium. How about that? Go to T-Mobile.com/MLB, sign up now, and catch every moment on America's fastest-growing LTE network. Now that's a deal. Looking around, sold out Great American Ballpark. Right up the line. from where Billy Hamilton will start things with the Reds behind 2-1 against Jeremy Hellickson and the Phillies. It's a very, very important year for Billy Hamilton, certainly as far as his future with the Reds is concerned. Such high hopes when he came up 2 years ago. We've seen flashes of game-changing talent from Hamilton, but at the end of the day, for this 25-year-old, it's time to try and put it all together, get on base, and utilize such incredible God-given speed. Hit .250 but only a .292 on base percentage 2 years ago. Last year that number dropped all the way to .226 and an on base percentage of .274.
So really the question is, what is an acceptable on-base percentage for Billy Hamilton? Is it right at 300? Does it have to be a tick above that, or do you need something like 320 or 330?
He's gone swinging to begin the third inning. Second strikeout for Hellickson. So now the only Red with a base hit so far, and that's Zach Cozart. He doubled down the right field line and scored on the error by Ryan Howard in the opening inning. Ironically for Cozart, when he had that devastating knee injury last season, it came against these Philadelphia Phillies. And now he's 2 for 2 on opening day with a single into right.
I'll take a whole bunch of swings like that from Zach Cozart. I mean, really committing to letting the ball travel deep, hitting it almost out of the catcher's glove right there, and the ball up in the air and up in the strike zone, that is, and a lot easier to get it into right field.
Here's Suarez, who hit that routine ground ball to the shortstop with Cozart at second base. It was hit weakly enough where Cozart was going to advance on to third. Hernandez's throw was low and to the left of Howard, but certainly catchable in the air, wasn't in the dirt. But it just hit off the end of Howard's glove, rolled into foul ground, and Cozart scored all the way from second base. Ball one. We'll see how it all plays out, but Hellickson might turn out to be a pretty shrewd pickup for these Philadelphia Phillies if he can get back to being that pitcher who came up with Tampa Bay. I mean, pitching in that division for 3 straight years. This guy was really good for the Rays. Really good. You mentioned the Rookie of the Year, but you look inside some of the numbers. 13-10, 2.9 ERA, 10-11 ERA, barely over 3. Won 12 games. The ERA went significantly higher the third year. But last year was the first full season back from the Tommy John injury in 2014. I think everybody would agree. Is he an opening day starter on a championship contending team? No. But considering, the Phillies gave up a minor league player in Sam McWilliams to get him in November from Arizona, you're not given a whole lot, and who knows what the upside might be. Two on Suarez. Double play ball. Took a high hop. How about the play at shortstop? Freddie Galvis, a home run of the game. And lucky to keep the teeth intact after this bad hop.
Back to work for Cincinnati, opening day 2016. I'm Jim Day in the Diamond Club, and my pleasure to welcome in the manager of the 1990 World Champion Cincinnati Reds, Lou Piniella, and he was also the Grand Marshal of the Findlay Market opening day parade. And I know you had never taken part in the parade because obviously you were busy as a manager when you were here in Cincinnati. Did you realize how big of an event it is?
I had no idea. In fact, I had a great time today, and I was so humbled. What a humbling experience to be welcomed back into this town after a long time. And I had a lot of fun. I really did. But no, never in my wildest dreams would I think of opening day having that type of parade before you start the season.
And the festivities, you've seen that before on the field, but you were the guy that had the pressure of throwing out that ceremonial first pitch. It's tougher than people think, isn't it?
Well, I'm going to tell you, when I was here as a young manager, I threw second base a little further and I threw the ball today off the mound at 72 years old. But it was a thrill. It really was. And I told Hatcher, I said, Hatch, I'm not too sure. You better come get the ball if it starts sinking a little bit. And that's exactly what he did.
For those that don't know, Lou is back in the organization as a special advisor to the front office and also to owner Bob Castellini. And seeing you at spring training and putting that uniform on again, I think it's been the first time in 6 years, and you got to work firsthand with some youngsters. It looked to me like it reinvigorated you, did it?
It was fun. It really was. I hadn't had a uniform on since my last managing job, and that was 6 years ago. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed also shooting the bull with and talking baseball with Billy Hatcher, with Eric Davis, with Barry Larkin, with Billy Doran, guys that I managed, Ted Power, the guys that I managed here in 1990 and when I was with the Reds. So, yeah, it was fun for me. It really was. It got the juices flowing, and but the only adverse thing was the fact that the trip from Paradise Valley to Goodyear was about 50 minutes back and forth in traffic every day. Outside of that, I couldn't have enjoyed it more. And what a great complex. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. I mean, it's a first-class complex. The people here in Cincinnati and Ohio should visit Arizona in the coming springs and and see firsthand. A great place to work.
One last question for you, Lou. You saw a lot of young talent there at the Goodyear complex. What do you think of what the Reds are going through now, and were you impressed at what you saw this spring?
I really was. I was impressed with the manager and the coaching staff, how organized they were. I was impressed with the attitude and the work habit of the players. They worked exceedingly hard. They were well prepared. I had a great spring, and the good thing about it is not only did they have a great spring, but as it ended, they ended up on a really high note, which is good to see. Look, it's a young club. It's a club that's going to be inconsistent at times. But believe me, their young talent from an offensive standpoint is good enough to score runs sufficiently enough to win up here. And their pitching, once they can get healthy, I mean, their pitching staff's going to be fine. So I look forward to a team that hopefully can start around 500 for the first month or so of the season, and then from then get better and progress as the season goes on.
Lou, great to have you back. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.
That is Lou Piniella, guys, beloved here in Reds country.
Well, he's beloved in a lot of places. I mean, I don't know anywhere where Lou Piniella has ever gone where almost every single person that had the chance to be around him doesn't come away saying, man, what a guy.
You're right.
What a guy. So much fun. And what a baseball life he has lived. And what a fourth inning for Mr. Iglesias. To the warning track, a 1-2-3 inning. Sweet Lou back in Cincinnati red, looking good. Solar Super Saturdays. The first one's coming up this weekend. Reds take on the Pirates, come down early, be one of the first 20,000 fans to take home a Reds fleece blanket. Boy, we could use one of those right about now. It's presented by Coca-Cola. If you'd like tickets this weekend, Pirates in town Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday afternoons. 381-REDS or visit Reds.com. Well, here's Joey Votto, 3-4-5 in the order. Reds down a run. Votto fooled badly on a changeup his first time up, struck out swinging. It's a first pitch fastball here, followed by Brandon Phillips and then Jay Bruce. Well, through all the changes the Reds have made, today is the 790th game started together by the trio that will bat in this inning. Votto, Phillips, Bruce, which is fourth most by a Reds trio, and you picked the trio. The most ever, the trio of Bench, Perez, and Rose, nearly 1,200 games. Bench, Concepcion, Rose, 928. Bench, Morgan, Rose, almost 850. And then number 4, this trio, and boy, Votto is fooled badly again, but this time it looked like a fastball.
It was a fastball. You know, in all the at-bats that I saw Joey Votto have in the springtime down in Goodyear, Arizona, I never once saw him having a bat, or at least back-to-back at-bats the way we've seen here so far this afternoon. Hellickson has just thrown him some really good pitches, and Votto's not on him at all.
So here's Brandon. He flied out to Herrera, the center fielder, his only time up. Reds have 2 hits, one by Cozart, both by Cozart. A double he scored in the first, and then a single in the third.
You know, you can add to that trio a couple of other players that have made the foundation for the Reds the last 4 or 5 years. I mean, pretty much year after year. Todd Frazier would be in that mix. Zach Cozart, of course, Devin Mesoraco. And you look at those guys collectively and you think, man, this is the foundation of a championship caliber club. All we've got to do is add good pitching and have a closer in the back end. And the Reds actually had that, but it never really clicked. There were injuries along the way that sidetracked them. And that group together, as good as it looked on paper, never was really able to get over the hump. And that's where the Reds are presented right now.
You know, we look back on it now, but Chris, we talked about it at the time. At the end of the day, it gave Reds fans a trip to the playoffs 3 times in 4 years, if you include the wild card as a trip to a playoffs when they lost a 1-game playoff to the Pirates. But at the end of the day, it was, when all is said and done, it was an enormously talented team, especially in 2012. That was up 2-0 against the Giants. You know, you hate to use the word, but they spit it up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only way to describe it. And you can say, well, if this wouldn't have happened and that wouldn't have happened, well, it did happen. You're up 2-0 on the road coming home. You got, you know, flip a coin. That year was the Reds or the Washington Nationals, who were the best team in the league. Reds won 97, Washington won 98. And both teams were eliminated in the opening round.
Yeah, and so you think, well, that was kind of a fluke. We're going to keep the foundation of this team together, and we're going to move on from there.
Well, here's Jay Bruce. You talked about him working on his bunting. He tries it with 2 outs, but the pitcher was able to get there, and that'll retire the side. Both teams gone in order in the 4th. 2-1, Phillies in front.
It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Out on the bottom of the 2nd inning here at Great American Ballpark, there was a ceremony that included some injured veterans that presented a baseball bat flag to the Reds Cincinnati Hall of Fame, the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame, and it was presented by Medal of Honor recipient Master Sergeant Leroy Petrie, Dick Lynch in the really honor the Reds and the Castellini family for all the things that they have done for veterans over all the years. The Reds Hall of Fame has accepted this flag made of baseball bats. They're going to show it in the Hall of Fame all year long. And it was just another one of those great things that the Reds have done to honor the veterans that have served our country. And they've got great sponsors like Cincinnati Bell, the Legion Logistics, Dr. John Mendelson, and all put together by Dick Lynch, and an organization called Skills in Demand, and they're at skillsindemand.org, and it's an organization that goes out and retrains veterans so that they can come back to the United States and re-enter the job market and fulfill their lives.
Yeah, in fact, before the game today, one of our U.S. representatives, Brad Winstrup, who is a veteran himself, they had a big on-the-field ceremony recognizing so many. Well, I tell you what, the Castellini family, they're not alone. I don't want to make it sound like Bob and Susie Castellini are the only people doing things to help so many in our area, because there are many of you out there. Hundreds of thousands of you out there. No matter how big, how small, whatever it is, you're making a difference. The Castellinis will be honored. One of the real special charity events in our area every year is this Saturday for the world-renowned Cincinnati Children's Hospital, and they are recognizing this weekend Susie and Bob Castellini and all they have done through the years to support one of America's truly incredible health care facilities and hospitals right here in Cincinnati, among the very best in the world. Michael Fisher, the CEO, and his wife Suzette will be hosting that gala Saturday night downtown. And of course, as we've done it for a number of years, we always say hello to those that are watching over at Cincinnati Children's Hospital today. Hope you're having a better day today. In the air, short left. Duvall's got it. So after a single by the pitcher Hellickson to start the inning, Hernandez is retired for the first time today. And as a reminder, coming up a little bit later on will be our Miller Time moment, brought to you by Miller Lite. I would imagine they'll sell a few of those at the old ballpark today.
Probably already have.
Just one day the concession on that, and it would be opening day.
That'd be a good day to pick.
Yeah, a very good day. Or along the banks before the game.
World Series day wouldn't be a bad day.
That would not be a bad day either. Herrera is 0 for 2. He is struck out and flied out to Hamilton in center field. Iglesias is fan 6. He's not walked a batter today. He's allowed 2 runs on 6 hits. A big blow was in the second inning with 2 outs and 1 on. A 2-run home run by Galvis just over the wall in right center field.
Well, they're hoping that he gets through this inning easily like he did last inning. Didn't have too many pitches. He's up around 80 pitches. They figure 90 is about the threshold for him on opening day.
Well, this might help. There's one. They got to cut it loose, and not in time to get Herrera.
It looked like a double play all the way. We mentioned earlier how Herrera can really run, and not a slide down there at the other end by Hellickson. And he indeed beats it at first base.
What did you think about some of the alterations they made in some of the rules this offseason, Mr.
I like them, actually. The one thing, what they've done, let's talk about the neighborhood rule real quick. The neighborhood rule, or the phantom tag at second base. What they're going to do now is to make sure that the base runner who's trying to take out a middle infielder turning a double play hits the ground before he gets to the bag, that he can actually touch and hold on to second base. So they're trying to take away the flagrant slide that is intended to maybe even injure an infielder. We've seen it happen before.
Well, prompted probably in the postseason by Chase Utley.
Correct. So what that will do, however, is force the middle infielder to actually be on the bag when he receives the throw before he turns a double play. No more is there a phantom tag or you just in the neighborhood of second base. And it's going to cause a lot, I think, of managers to ask for a review of that play, because a lot of those are bang plays. Was his foot on the bag or was it not on the bag? Did he get rid of it before he touched the bag, and so on? And I think we're going to see a lot of that. But the good news is I think you're going to see a reduced number of injuries at second base. I like that play. I like what they've done at home plate. A lot of people think that's still controversial about not being able to bowl over the catcher and so on. But it's one of those things that I think if you can reduce injuries in baseball, that's a good thing.
Well, we were just talking about reducing injuries. It looked like Devin Mesoraco was shaken up on this follow through by Franco. Yep, got him right in the side of the head, up under his mask. That may have even made wood on cheek contact there.
Well, they're probably checking for a contusion. I mean, he's a tough guy, and he's about as tough as they come anywhere. But the side of your head was not made to take a direct blow from a baseball bat. He hasn't rubbed it yet.
Steve Bauman has taken over as the Reds' head athletic trainer this year, replacing Paul Assard.
Paul Assard went on to take the same job with the Washington Nationals.
Rejoining Dusty Baker. Steve Bauman is a native of Cincinnati, graduated from UC. Let's take a look at this real live speed. Oh boy, you can hear it. Nothing in 2 on Franco, who has that right foot buried right along the back edge of the batter's box from the right side.
Well, as long as any part of your foot is in contact with the line, Major League rules say that you're in the batter's box.
Gone swinging Franco, and that'll do it. So Iglesias right around that 80 pitch mark. 1 hit, 1 left. Reds need to get to work on offense, down a run. in Cincinnati. This day started with mostly sunny skies. Clouds have rolled in and temperatures have really dropped off of the right around 62-degree mark at its warmest point today. And the Reds bats have been chilled thus far by Jeremy Hellickson. Only one Reds player has hit the ball sharply for that matter. Both hits belong to Zach Cozart. A double in the first, scored a run on a Ryan Howard error. Freddie Galvis hit a 2-run home run for the Phillies to give them this lead. The Reds' only other hit was a 1-out single by Cozart in the third. 2-1 on Mesoraco, followed by Duvall and then Iglesias. No action in the Reds bullpen as we're in the bottom of the fifth. Foul ball. Mentioned Mesoraco went to the All-Star game in 2014. That's where he joined Johnny Bench as the only catchers in Reds history to hit 25 or more home runs, drive in 80 or more runs in a single season. And then last year, the hip surgery, played in just the 23 games. Didn't miss by much. 3-2.
You know, it's kind of funny the way the major leagues work nowadays. It's really hard to get signed as a pitcher if you're not throwing in faster than 92 or 93 miles an hour. If you're a high school kid and you throw 90, you've got a chance to be drafted. But if you're the age of Jeremy Hellickson and you're topping out at 89, 90 miles an hour, you're not even going to get a look-see at a tryout camp. They're going to tell you, son, you just don't have it. We're going to send you on your way. But here's Jeremy Hellickson, opening day pitcher for the Phillies, really working with what he's got and getting the hitters off balance, which is really ultimately what it's all about. You saw the swing and miss and the thrown bat by Mesoraco there on a strikeout. He's mixed up Joey Votto, one of the best hitters in the game, in 2 consecutive at bats. And here's a guy that, you know, really not throwing all that hard. So sometimes, you know, you get guys like this who are overlooked. And I keep going back to the comment that you made earlier about how he may be a real good, kind of a diamond in the rough type of signing for the Phillies. A 1-year deal, $7 million, which is about half of what you are averaging as a starting pitcher nowadays, even a 4th or 5th, you know, line pitcher. And he's working on a 2-hitter here in the bottom of the 5th inning.
Well, I mean, you brought up during spring training, and I've talked about it on some of the radio games I did after you and I worked that Reds game against the Kansas City Royals. And look, it's not knocking, you know, I think all of us feel like, you know, God bless anybody that can go out and make for a living, whatever it is they make. More power to you. You know, you bust your tail and you work hard, you do it the right way and you do it legally. Good for you, whatever you can make. But when you mention the amount of money signed by Ian Kennedy during this offseason, I mean, I almost fell out of my chair. 2 away in the inning. $71 million.
Guaranteed.
Ian Kennedy.
Well, I mean,
a good pitcher, good solid pitcher, but I mean, you know, he's not had a winning year since he had that one monster year for Arizona. That's 4 years ago.
Well, it does go to show you that, you know, every year you think when the salaries are publicized over the winter and guys go to arbitration and they sign free agent contracts and so on, that, well, this is the year that they're going to start going back, because there's no way that baseball can afford to pay him this much money anymore. But every year that number goes up and up, and it will continue to go up. There are more revenues than ever before in big league baseball, and it's never been a better time to be a big league pitcher.
Strike one on Iglesias. He hit the ball sharply. A one-hopper glove by Hellickson his first time up. Iglesias 2 hits and 30 at bats a year ago. Reds only 3 base runners through the front 4 2/3, and 2 of the 3 were the first 2 batters of the game on a double and an error. Strike 3 call. So we've played 5. Some of the fans trying to warm up over at Bootleggers. 2-1 Phillies in front. On Fox Sports Ohio, brought to you by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. And by Cincinnati Children's Hospital, ranking 3rd in the country on the U.S. News and World Report's best children's hospitals in America. Coming up Wednesday night, Fox Sports Ohio has a special ticket offer that is only good during this game today. So make sure that you are tuned in Wednesday's game against the Phillies to find out about a great deal for upcoming Reds tickets. So that'll come your way opening night, we call it here. Opening day today, opening night Wednesday night. Reds in the Phils. Ryan Howard pulls it foul. He's quickly behind 0-2. Howard 0 for 2 and committed an error in the first inning, which allowed the Reds to score their only run of the game. Hooked hard, but right at Jay Bruce into right, and Howard retired, 1 out. Ryan Howard today makes his 10th career opening day start for the Phillies. He's had 9 seasons where he's hit 20 or more home runs, second most in Phillies history behind Ohio University's very own Michael Jack Schmidt. Today is his 1,300th career game at first base. And I mean, whether you're talking about home runs, RBIs, extra base hits, slugging percentage, you name it, what a career. Duvall with room in left. 2 away, and now Raisel Iglesias an out away, Chris, of 6 rock solid innings.
Well, he's also had a number of strikeouts as well. He had a key strikeout early in the ball game. A couple of those against left-handers coming on that slider. A nice comeback fastball there. He's had a good game. I mean, he's only made one mistake pitch, and that was a ball that was hit into the first row in the right field seats for the 2-run homer. The only 2 runs the Phillies have gotten. Has not walked the batter. I'll take this kind of outing out of just about every Reds pitcher in that rotation.
Oh.
You had to figure coming into this game that, you know, especially with Iglesias not having had all that much spring training innings to build up his arm strength, that it'll be a bullpen game. And if the Reds could get him through 6, that would be wonderful. And that's exactly what he has given them.
88 pitches for Raisel Iglesias, his first career opening day start. Will that be his final inning? He's trailing 2-1. Welsh is a big user. It's a #1 live sports streaming service. You get a free subscription to AtBat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Check it out. Blackout and other restrictions do apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. And of course, we're streaming live now, if I'm not mistaken, Chris, on Fox Sports Ohio.
You know, that is the plan, and I've not checked it out yet today, Tom, but I know that it's supposed to be working. I'm going to check it out here.
Fox Sports Go.
Yep,
is where you would find that. All right, let's see if the Reds can make it happen here. Billy Hamilton the bunt, but I mean, look, teams are going to expect it, and Franco all over it. Throws out Hamilton to begin the bottom of the 6th inning.
Well, you ask yourself the question, really, bottom line, an out is an out. So what's the difference between an attempted bunt where the fielder makes the play or a ground ball where you swing away and the fielder makes the play? What you don't want to see Billy Hamilton do is to bunt like that and then get discouraged from trying it again just because he didn't lay down a perfect bunt.
Cozart has the only 2 Reds hits today against Jeremy Hellickson, a double to right, a single to right. He looks at a strike. And my oh my, has Hellickson been efficient. He's fanned 5, not walked a batter. In fact, there has not been a single walk by either pitcher in this game today. 68th pitch, grounded foul to get ahead of Cozart at 0-2. That was Cozart's double down the right field line. He eventually scored in the first. And then that swing you talked about again, Chris, in the third.
I mean, that's just a nice, relaxed approach, not trying to do too much. Hellickson not giving him that high fastball to take the right field. He's trying to keep that little knuckle curve on him. You know, you can just peer into the glove of Jeremy Hellickson. We got a good shot from center field camera so many times on what a pitcher is going to throw. Of course, the hitter can't see that, but we know ahead of time. And if you see that index finger kind of crooked up like he's digging his finger into the seam of the baseball, that's the knuckle curve coming.
Reds scored in the first inning. If you're just getting back from work, got a double by Cozart. He scored on an error by the Philadelphia first baseman Ryan Howard, but it was a short-lived lead. 2-run home run in the second by Galvis, and that's all the scoring. 2-1 with the Reds batting in the sixth.
Did you say get home from work? Who
Get
works
home
on opening
from work.
day?
Well, somebody in this world is working today. Somebody.
In the world, yes, but in Cincinnati, no.
He might
should be no.
He might be. And Cozart is 3 for 3, and this is another extra base hit. Boy, what a start for Cozart. Missed the final 4 months of last season with that knee injury. Good for him.
Couldn't feel happier for Zach Cozart. He's worked so hard to get back. And he didn't realize when he came into spring training he was going to be batting in the leadoff spot here on opening day. He's accounted for every bit of the Reds offense.
That's a tying run out there at second base here in the sixth inning, and here comes a Eugenio Suarez. 0 for 2 has reached on an error and grounded into a double play. Hit the ball hard his last time up. And man, it took a wicked bounce, but played beautifully by Galvis at shortstop to start the double play. In the air, right field. Advancing on to third, Cozart, 2 out. Votto coming up, and if he or any Red, it's a home run. Off our Toyota side, way out there in right center between the tall stacks, Sally Barnhart from Montgomery will win that beautiful new Tundra on display each and every day here at the ballpark. And you can register to win at an upcoming game. Stop by your Cincinnati and or Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Front row, upper deck, just to the third base side of home. Hoping Joey Votto can at the minimum tie it up, if not give the Reds a lead. Votto has struck out in each of his first 2 times up.
You know, even though Hellickson has struck out Votto 2 times in a row, don't you realize Hellickson's probably thinking, how many times am I going to get this guy? Can I go back to the well one more time? Or do I simply pitch around him and maybe go after somebody I feel better about pitching to, a right-hander like Phillips?
Votto walked a major league high 143 times last year. We were kidding in spring training that he would obliterate that record this year until somebody proves, hitting behind him, that they consistently can drive in runs. Saw that total down there, Votto. I mean, we think 143 walks is a lot, and it's a Reds record. But put that note up there again. Take a look at the number that Barry Bonds had in that 2004 year.
Oh, my.
I saw that front and center. He would maybe get 1 pitch a game to hit, maybe a game, and he rarely ever missed it. Votto swinging 3-0 as he likes to do, and dribbles it foul. You can say whatever you want about Bonds and PEDs or anything else, doesn't matter. When he got that 1 pitch, and it was rare, he would kill it. Tying run at third. 3-2 on Votto. Payoff pitch to Votto. Wow. And he is fooled badly for the third straight at bat today. Well, we'll go back and look at those strike three swings by Votto today. You might not see 3 of those the rest of the year. Well, an outstanding effort today by Raisel Iglesias, his first ever opening day assignment. He's lifted after 6 innings. He allows just the 2-run home run to Galvis all the way back in inning number 2. Surrenders 6 hits, does not walk a single batter, and fans 7. And now it'll be Jumbo Diaz takes over on the mound.
Now 61 games for Jumbo last year. He was a setup man. He had 7 holds overall. Had some rough times last year. Was down in the minor leagues, got brought back up. But he right now is essentially the setup man ahead of J.J. Hoover in games in which you figure the Reds are winning, but they're going to go in a 1-run game, even though the Reds are losing, with the best reliever other than your closer right now, and that would be J.J. Nice outing for Iglesias.
Leading things off, Peter Bourjos in this Philadelphia 7th. 2 runs, 6 hits for the Phils. 1 error, which allowed the Reds to score their lone run. The Reds have 3 hits, all by Zach Kozai. With 2 on Bourjos, he'll be followed by Galvis, and then, I mean, you know, the Phillies have action in their bullpen right now. But man, the way Hellickson's going. Granted, it's the first start of the year. Here's strike 3 to Bourjos, but it'd be hard to imagine to take out Hellickson right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's making it look easy.
As has become customary on opening day in Cincinnati, they keep tomorrow as a scheduled off day just in case. Well, we have inclement weather for the season opener, which from time to time we have. No problems today, although getting chillier as this early evening approaches. Right-hander Aaron Nola, highly touted youngster, will get the ball on Wednesday night. That'll be a 7-10 game against left-hander Brandon Finnegan. He was part of the 3 left-handed pitchers that came over in the Johnny Cueto trade from Kansas City last year. Charlie Morton will start the 3rd game, as this is playable in foul ground right on the line for Cozart, 2 away. And we remind you that following each and every Reds game right here on Fox Sports Ohio. Stick around for Reds Live, brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. For a complete recap and interviews from the locker room, Jim Day, Jeff Piecoro and company standing by for that. 2 down for Jumbo. And although it's not yet been announced, Chris, it looks like after the roster move that was made yesterday, the Reds are going to hand the ball for his major league debut to the former #1 pick out of Martinez, California, Robert Stevenson.
Yeah, I had a chance to talk with Robert just before the ball game today, and he was being interviewed obviously about his start coming up, and he told me that he's been told he's starting and he's excited about it.
Emmanuel Burris about it. Well, the writing was on the wall, you know, that final week of spring training when the Reds, because of the abdominal issue with Anthony DeSclafani, they had to bring up a starter from the minor league camp. Emmanuel Burris. Look at the big fella. Pretty nimble footwork right there.
Like a big cat.
Jumbo. I mean, that looks like a nimble Andre Smith there moving around. Middle of the 7th here at Great American Ballpark. We're going to keep it right here on this opening day game for the singing of God Bless America. Looking forward to hearing that. Reds are trailing 2-1.
Those who serve to protect in our local police and fire departments. At this time, please help us honor these brave men and women and all our veterans of service, and welcome Cincinnati's own, the Mystics, as they lead us in the singing of God Bless America.
God bless America, the land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountain to the prairies to the ocean white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home, sweet home.
Fireworks Fridays are back at Great American Ballpark. In fact, this Friday night, stick around after the game. We'll have the big show presented by T-Mobile. Pirates in town Friday night, 3-1 REDS, or visit Reds.com. All right, the night is over for Ellickson as he goes 6 sensational innings, allows 1 unearned run, does not walk a single batter, and strikes out 6. He'll give way to the one-time Cleveland Indian, Jeanmar Gomez.
And the one-time Pittsburgh Pirate. Maybe you remember Gomez more from the Pirates than the Indians. He's a reliever. 65 games last year. Slider fastball is what he features, and he averages 90, 91 miles an hour in that fastball. Primarily sliders to right-handers and change-ups to left-handers if you're looking off speed.
Gomez had a nice year for this Philadelphia team last year, his first, after a rock-solid 2013 and 14 with the Pirates. You know, he was always a starter coming up through the Indians organization. The last 2 years has been used exclusively as a reliever, and in the last 2 years has pitched 109 games with an ERA right at 3. Nothing wrong with that. And there's that slider. Brandon Phillips swings and misses. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Jay Bruce and then Devin Mesoraco here in the 7th inning. Brandon today 0 for 2, twice his flied out, once a pop up, the other a fly ball to center field. Left-hander James Russell, we saw him so frequently through the years with the Chicago Cubs, starts to get loose for the Phils. Tapper out in front of the plate. 1 out. Jay Bruce bringing the energy thanks to IGS, the highest career batting average against National League opponents in his career. Phillies #2 for Jay behind the Giants. Speaking of the Giants, they absolutely mauled the Milwaukee Brewers in the season opener for both of those two teams today. At last check, it was a 12-3 game. Madison Bumgarner will get the win in that one for the Giants. And Willie Peralta will suffer the loss for Milwaukee. Largest regular season crowd ever at Great American Ballpark here today. Ever. 43,683. Now, many of them have just probably grown a little too chilly to hang around. Out of play by Jay Bruce. 1 ball, 2 strikes. I'd be curious to know what the fans think about this 4 o'clock start time. If I were a betting man, I would bet they like 1:10 better than 4:10.
Well, it does give you a chance to have the parade begin at noon instead of at 10 in the morning.
Yes.
And it also gives a chance for people who may not be attending the parade but working downtown or really working anywhere to be able to give you most of a day of work. And then
wait a minute. I thought you just told me a minute ago that nobody worked today.
Well, those few poor souls
like us
that don't get the day off.
Two and two to Bruce, and it's pulled foul. And of course, for some of the youngsters who are fortunate enough to come down here on an opening day game, you know, you can always say, hey, Jimmy or Lucy, they've got a dentist appointment today.
Well, I walked with a whole bunch of 11-year-olds today that all had dentist appointments. and notes to get out of
Dennis
school.
are very busy this time of year.
We had an excellent time. Walked down with the made the whole parade route with the Cincinnati Reds RBI 10U team, and we just had a wonderful time. The great kids, they were giving high fives along the entire parade route.
How cool is that?
It was fun.
Very cool. 3-2 now on Bruce. On swinging. There you are with that group of youngsters.
Yeah, the 10U RBI guys. The coaches are great. Melvin Green, Damon Wiley, Patrick Woodford. I was a little out of uniform, obviously.
Yeah, you were really out of
shirt
uniform.
and a pink tie, but
Yeah.
we had a great time. And great kids, too.
They're doing wonders over there at that Urban Youth Academy. That's right over for many of you that know Cincinnati, but maybe they don't get to that part of town much. This building will ring a bell. The old Cincinnati Gardens. Right down the street.
Saw a mini game there with the Big O.
Oh, yeah. Saw a lot of games in that building. Some of the great UC Xavier battles back when that was Xavier's home floor. There's a pop up on the left side, and the Reds are gone in order against Gomez. We march on to the 8th. Tight one here on opening day. 2-1 Philadelphia. First inning started well for the Reds. Cozart, who is 3 for 3, has all 3 of the Reds hits. He had a double in the first inning, wound up scoring on an error by Ryan Howard. In the second inning, Freddie Galvis with a man aboard and 2 out just cleared the wall in right center to make it a 2-1 game. Nothing doing against Iglesias after that. Fan 7, walk none, allowed the 2 runs in 6 innings, a pat on the back. But right now, he's on the short end of this 1-run game. Jumbo Diaz set to begin his second inning of work. Top of the order. Hernandez, Herrera, and Franco in the Philadelphia 8th inning. Hook and bat. Boy, and again, it just sails right by the pitcher. We saw one land at the feet of Iglesias earlier. That one nearly hit Diaz.
I mean, these bats just simply aren't breaking around the handle. The whole head of the bat's coming loose. That's usually an indication that it's a maple bat. Used to be that all baseball bats were made from white ash. Now they've gone with maple and some other types of wood, and the bats are harder, but when they break, they shatter and fly all over the place.
Jumbo had a 1-2-3 7th inning. Not a single ball left the infield. He had a pop up, a tapper in front of the plate, and a strikeout. Brian Price has already gone on record as saying there are a number of relievers that will throw multiple innings this year out of the bullpen per appearance, including, if need be, his closer. You know, having said that, Brian Price said the same thing before last year in regard to his closer, Aroldis Chapman. And that, outside of maybe twice, did not happen all year.
Well, this year may be a little different because the roles are not as defined as they were. At least last year, you had a pretty good idea who the closer was. In fact, you had a really good idea. You had a pretty good idea who the setup men were. This year, there are no defined roles. You're pretty much up for grabs.
Two and two. Suarez. Perfect throw to Votto, one away. April in the OHIO continues Wednesday night. Phillies here at Great American Ballpark for opening night. Chris, you've already tried on your tuxedo.
I have indeed.
Reds Live will kick off at 6:30. Our first pitch at 7. April in the OHIO is presented by Meyer. Well, Jumbo gives Brian Price an inning and a third of perfect baseball out of the bullpen. And Brian Price will come get him. And this will be our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. Nice round of applause for Jumbo. And here comes Tony Cingrani in a 2-1 game.
The lefty on for Cincinnati. He had to earn his way into a bullpen spot. He had an outstanding spring, and manager Brian Price says in the spring it's the best he's seen him throw.
Much more so than any time in the last couple of years, in large part because I'm seeing a consistent delivery and much more consistent fastball command, as well as a greatly improved breaking pitch, one that I haven't seen in Tony's 3+ years up and down between the minor leagues and the big leagues, dating back to late 2012.
And the Reds need him, boys. He's the only southpaw down there.
Well, you're right about that, Jim Day. The Phillies have 3 left-handers in their bullpen. Cingrani, the only left-hander. So really, when Brian Price is going to use that left-hander in certain situations, when you got a couple lefties up or a tough guy that you want to finish off, you have to be careful when you use them. Your temptation is to use them too early in the ball game, or then maybe too late and save them and beyond the time that that you could use a left-hander. So it's difficult having a bullpen with only one southpaw.
See the numbers last year, really a lost year for Cingrani. That ball fouled back out of play, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
a lot of the problems with Cingrani last year was the injury that he didn't really tell anybody about. His arm was hurting. He tried to pitch through it. It got worse and worse. His control got bad. He started to get a hit around. So I think what Brian Price saw this spring is the same thing everybody else saw, was an improved arm strength. The repeatability with the delivery because your arm didn't hurt, and the breaking ball because your arm didn't hurt. You finally got it into a position where you could work on a downward plane.
Well, he's run the full count on Herrera with Franco on deck, and then left-handed batting Ryan Howard. Reds are down 2-1. We're in the top of the 8th inning, and that's a walk to Herrera. Mike Cingrani thought that should have been strike 3. It's not.
I've always believed that Cingrani, since breaking into the major leagues, he really was a phenom, because he would throw fastballs nearly 90% of the time. You knew what was coming, and you still couldn't hit it, but he was so effective when he threw the ball up in the strike zone. He throws from an arm angle where the ball just simply doesn't sink very much. So it gives the hitter an optical illusion, in my opinion, better up in the zone than down in the zone.
And of course, he has among the very best pickoff moves in all of Major League Baseball. And you have no doubt that Pete Mackanin and his staff have reminded batters that come to the plate once Cingrani entered the game, if you get on, be alive over there at first. Because it is very much a weapon for Cingrani.
Well, it's so good of a weapon, he picks runners off who aren't even stealing.
Here's that high fastball you were talking about.
Some pitchers are made with their deliveries to pitch down in the zone, down around the knees, get it down there and get a lot of ground balls. Other guys pitch effectively up.
And there he is again. That's good morning, good afternoon, and good night. And Chris, you talk about it all the time. You go out and play wiffle ball and throw an eye-high fastball and see how enticing it looks, and see how infrequently you hit it.
Yeah, the last 2 pitches of this at-bat, neither of them would have been called strikes.
No.
Well, Brian Price is going to use the bullpen one more time.
Well, the pinch hitter's already been announced, and you brought up earlier that Ryan Howard is not going to face left-handed pitchers this year. It's gone that bad for him against the Southpaws. Ready for Reds action 30 minutes before every game. All the info you need for that day's game and more with the Reds live on Fox Sports Ohio. Jeff Piecoro, Brian Giesenslaw and company. Kent Dreamweaver, Ronnie Millinor. Reds Live presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Off to a big time start today. That was an hour and a half worth of Reds Live, the pregame show version. Jim Day will be back among his many legion of fans in Reds Live, the postgame edition, coming up today and every day. Ross Ohlendorf, a native Texan, takes over on the mound, making his Reds debut. And there's strike one.
Now, Ohlendorf, the numbers we showed you were his relief appearances last year for the Texas Rangers. He was in camp this spring as a non-roster player with the Kansas City Royals. He was not going to make the team, so he got his release, and that's when the Reds picked him up. He's been a starter in the past. You may remember the name more from his couple of years around 2009, 2010 with the Pittsburgh Pirates. When he was a starter, started more than 20 games a couple of years in a row.
Well, we thought the Reds would be quite busy on that waiver wire in the final number of days leading up to when rosters had to be set on Sunday. And that they were the final week of spring training. 2-2.
You know, we don't see it here, but Ohlendorf has a real throwback full windup. If he comes out next inning, perhaps we'll see it.
Yeah, swings those arms and backs up with the left foot, right?
And the other thing he does, which is a little bit unusual, I saw Jumbo Diaz do that. He works from the very extreme third base side of the pitching rubber, which really helps his breaking ball and maybe his fastball too.
It's a pretty good Reds debut right there for Mr. Ohlendorf. Gets a strikeout of Ruff. Reds bat in the 8th, down a run.
Jim Day with our Miller Time Moment, brought to you by Miller Lite. The festivities of opening day. A pregame flyover today was performed by an E-2C and an E-2D Hawkeye belonging to the U.S. Navy VAW 120 Greyhawk Squadron. And look at this view from the Naval Station in Norfolk, Virginia. And folks, this is the first flyover from the U.S. Armed Forces on opening day since 2012, and we even got some footage from the cockpit. How good is that? Our Miller Time Moment, and it always puts a jolt into the crowd and gives you some pride just to call yourself an American. Gentlemen.
Amen to that. Of course, they have the Navy SEALs are based out in Coronado, California. Huge naval operation on the West Coast, but Norfolk, Virginia is the largest naval base in the United States on the eastern seaboard. David Hernandez takes over on the mound. This guy's been a pretty good pitcher for a long time.
Well, he's been with the Orioles. He's been with the Arizona Diamondbacks, where he was a closer. He was with the Diamondbacks last year and signed on as a free agent here with the Phillies in 2016. 6 years in the major leagues.
Adam Duvall to be followed, it looks like, by Scott Schebler. He'd be making his Reds debut. Left-handed batter with tremendous power. Had an outstanding spring.
They both did, really, and they were competing for the same job. That is Duvall and Schebler. Kind of a lefty-righty platoon situation.
Although, as we pointed out in spring training, it will not be, and clearly today is a case in point. They will share time in left field. It's not going to be a straight platoon as we've seen with some of the past, where, you know, one guy plays against the lefties, the other against the righties. Right-handed batting Duvall got the start against the right-hander Hellickson here today. 2 balls and a strike. Not sure Adam liked that call. We have not had one, well, up until, I beg your pardon, Cingrani walked the batter in the top of this 8th inning. First walk by either team today. Both starters so good today, Iglesias and Hellickson. Hellickson 1 run better. Full count.
They're going to be careful with the fastball with Adam Duvall, because he's a guy that just feeds on that pitch. He's got good power, a short swing, and he can get the most fastballs. See if Hernandez feels confident enough with his breaking ball to throw it here.
He missed ball 4, and that's a walk to begin the inning, and the tying run aboard. So that'll bring up Schebler. Left-handed batter acquired in the Todd Frazier deal. Got his first taste of both AAA and the major leagues last year in the Dodgers organization. Hit 13 home runs, stole 15 bases in AAA, and in 19 games with the major league club, he hit 3 home runs with an on-base percentage of .325. Tyler Holt has come on to pinch run. Over at first for Duvall. Holt another, I don't know about you, Chris, a surprise, certainly a dark horse, if not a straight long shot, to make this team in spring training.
Yeah, I agree. You know, there's so many more factors that go into assembling your roster at the beginning of the year than just grabbing the 25 best players you see off the roster at a good year. You know, how does it affect the 40-man roster? What does it mean to service time? There are a lot of different things that most fans don't consider when it comes to composing up a team.
Boy, Schebler trying to give the Reds a 1-run lead with that big swing, and man, does he have some thunder in that bat.
You know, sometimes, having talked to Scott a couple of times about this, he gets a little bit excited. And if he could just slow the game down a little bit, he's got plenty of athletic talent.
Young man grew up in Iowa, still makes his home there. Bounced straight back, and you're right about being an athlete. Played 4 different sports in high school. And was a state champion in track as a sprinter. Schebler had 3 home runs, 5 doubles, knocked in 15 runs. during Cactus League play, and he saw a lot of playing time. Naturally, when you're trying to make the team, the manager got a long look at Schebler and Duvall and Holt, Cave, breaking ball down and in. 2-2.
Got a lot of looks at Yorman Rodriguez.
Yeah, forgot about him.
Yeah.
He started the year on the DL. Reds out of options on him. Got injured late in spring training. And that is a base hit down the line. On his way to third goes Holt, and Schebler with a double in his Reds debut. That's a big one right there for Schebler and the Reds.
Yeah, they beat this ball right down on the ground, and it took a high hop right over the head of the first baseman, who's drawn in holding the runner on first. So the Reds catch a break. They go first and third with nobody out.
You know, Chris, that's one of the little things. You know, we talk so much about, you know, walks in general. If he doesn't walk the leadoff man, that's a one-hopper handled routinely by the first baseman at regular depth.
You're right.
There are just so many arteries off of the walk that just send managers and pitching coaches off the rail. Reds will take it.
And bench coaches like Larry Boa.
Yeah, you're right. Of course, it takes a lot less than that. There's a breaking ball to Billy Hamilton. All right. I mean, what better time to come up with a pair than right here and right now in the bottom of the 8th inning. Second and third, none out. You're down a run, infield in. And there's a strike to Billy, who's 0 for 2. He is struck out, swinging, and bounced to third. See Jim Riggleman there in the background. He is now the bench coach. Of course, Billy Hatcher goes from first base to third base. Freddie Benavidez was in the dugout last year, and now he coaches first base. 2-1 to Hamilton. 3-1. Reds trying to rally here in the bottom of the 8th inning, down a run. And they're loaded with nobody out. Pete Mackanin has seen enough. He is going to bring on a left-hander from his bullpen. And that'll be James Russell. Cozart, Suarez, Votto, due up. They're loaded here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Nobody out. The Reds are down a run. Stay with us. This week, T-Mobile customers can get a free season-long subscription to MLB.tv Premium. Just go to T-Mobile.com/MLB and sign up now. All right, we've got action. Reds down 2-1. They have the bases loaded. Nobody out. Cozart has 3 hits on the day coming up against a new pitcher, James Russell.
It'll be interesting to see how the Phillies play this. Will they play back to get a double play and give up the run, or will they bring the infield in trying to cut them off at the plate? Russell was with the Cubs last year. He's been with the Cubs a couple of times. In fact, started his career in 2010. Been in a lot of games. This is 388 for this left-hander.
Crowd will boo it, but you know what? It's not a bad move. It frequently, if ever, works, but there is always at one time. All right, Cozart settling in. And it's in the air. Short right field. Holt tags. Here he comes. Here comes a throw. Safe as a call. And the other runners advance as well. It's a tie game. What a day for Cozart.
That's why they put the pinch runner in for Adam Duvall. Holt can run, and he got a good jump, even though this ball is very shallow in right field. I don't think a throw on the money is still going to get Holt. So the Reds play a little small ball and pick up the tying run.
So a nice bit of coaching right there by Suarez.
Those are little things right there that Suarez just has a knack for him. He's got great baseball sense.
All right, does he have a knack right now to give the Reds a lead? Infield in. Go ahead, run at third, 1 out in the inning. And he takes on the inside corner. Suarez today has reached on an error, bounced into a double play, and flied out to right. Schebler runs well at third. Started 2, laid off. Suarez has seen Russell 3 times in his career. He has 1 hit in those 3 at bats. The hit, a home run. Looked like he pulled off that a little bit.
He took a big hack right here, saw it so well that he thought he was going to hit it halfway to New Richmond.
Russell looking in. Ruiz gives him the sign. Go ahead, run at third. 1 out in the 8th inning of a 2-2 game. Breaking ball, he doesn't chase it.
One of the ways you gauge a guy and his ability to get that run in, you got to put the ball in play, even when the infield is in. With less than 2 outs, runner at third, 50 to 60% is about major league average at getting that runner in.
Fastball off the outside corner.
I'm not really so sure that righty versus lefty pitcher right here that James Russell has the strikeout pitch to get Suarez out. He'll change his approach a little bit with 2 strikes, shorten up, trying to make contact, knowing really that anything into the outfield is going to put us in the go-ahead run.
3 balls, 2 strikes on Eugenio Suarez. Here it comes. And it's ball 4. They're loaded. 3rd walk of the inning. And Joey Votto makes his way to the plate. Votto will be the first to tell you today has been as rough a game at the plate for him. And look, everybody has a game where they'll strike out 3 times. Infrequent for Votto. but it's the nature in which he's gone about striking out 3 times. He's really been fooled badly on all 3 strikeout pitches, but no one will remember if he can drive in this go-ahead run in the 8th inning. Votto has seen Russell a ton through the years, all those seasons with the Cubs, and 3 hits in 13 at-bats. Interesting that Votto has struck out 6 times in those 13 at-bats against Russell. Taking all the way there, it appeared. Brian Price leaning on his best hitter to drive in a go-ahead run here in the last of the 8th inning. They're loaded with 1 out. And he does it. Base hit center field. 2 runs will score, and Votto, when it matters most, delivers the goods.
Vintage line drive from Votto, and here's pitch by pitch. He starts off with a breaking ball that misses, and then a fastball enter third for a strike. He comes right back, same spot with that fastball, and Votto, a little inside-out swing, puts the ball in play, drives a couple home, and you forget all about the strikeouts when you drive in a big couple of runs with a hit like that.
And you saw Votto after that hit sort of wipe his brow and then flick the sweat off, which drew a big grin from Freddie Benavides. And boy, Pete Mackanin has just got to be wondering, can anybody get it out in this inning? The Reds have struck for 3. Clutch hitting by Votto gives the Reds a 4-2 lead. TV, you can now stream Reds games live on your mobile device. Just go to your app store, download the free Fox Sports Go app. You log in, start the stream, and watch the Reds wherever you go. Talked about Votto's reaction. Yes, sir. Hector Neris takes over on the mound for the Phillies. Right-hander with 1 out, 3 runs home here in the bottom of the 8th inning. And now Brandon Phillips about it. Fastball with a little giddy up on it. High and tight to Brandon, who's 0 for 3. Pretty good numbers. 4-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio, and the opponents last year had just 245 against him.
Neris is basically a two-pitch pitcher. He's got a fastball that he runs up there low to mid-90s, and he's got a splitter. That's a pitch that looks like a fastball until it's halfway to the plate and then just dives straight down, and that's the one he got branded swinging and missing on there.
Neris delivers, and that one hits Brandon Phillips, and they're loaded. Boy, this Philly eighth inning has just been a disaster from their bullpen. You had Hernandez comes in, faces 3 batters, walks 2. Russell faces 3 batters, walks a batter, gives up a hit. And now Neris gets ahead 1 and 2 and hits Phillips to load him for Bruce.
And except for Neris, it's pretty much a veteran couple of relievers that they called in. Janmark Gomez has been around. David Hernandez has certainly been around. Russell we've seen since 2010 or so.
All right, now Bruce infield in. Bruce trying to hit a grand slam on that cut. Barely hit it off the end of the bat.
Well, he was looking fastball and got something other than.
Jay behind, 0-2, infield in, bases loaded, 1 out. A ball and 2 strikes. One ball and 2 strikes. And a Tapper foul to hang in there. Most of the crowd that has stayed, and a lot of them have left. I mean, it is very, very cold now. On their feet. This game closing in on right around 2 hours and 50 minutes, and we're in the bottom of the 8th inning. Reds so quiet. They had 3 hits, all by Zach Kozak, until this 8th inning, an inning which began with a walk, then a double off the bench by Schebler, and Bruce delivers a 2-run base hit, and that one gets through the center fielder, and the trail runner advances 2 bases. Here comes Phillips, and he's going to be out. Overly aggressive there by Brandon, but you're up 4. He took a chance and it's thrown out. Bruce a 2-run single to make it a 6-2 game.
Well, a really good at bat for Jay Bruce. He just hung in there with a couple of good swings to spoil bad pitches, and he finally got a slider. I think maybe Neris decided he couldn't get that splitter by him, so he threw something else. And you know, I can see why Brandon tried to push this right here. The Phillies didn't look like they were able to catch the ball the entire inning. They dropped it twice in that particular play on the hit by Bruce. They dropped it on the way into the infield, and they did make the play at home to get out Brandon Phillips. But the Reds have a 4-run lead with a 5 spot here in the 8th.
That'll be ruled a single and an error on the center fielder. And then, of course, they throw Phillips out at the plate. Bruce 2 runs batted in. A 5-run last of the 8th inning.
What an uplifting inning for a ball club that has read pretty much negative prognostications all spring long.
Mesoraco, a fly ball. He'll become the final out, but 9 Reds back. It all began with a walk to Adam Duvall. I mean, some huge hits in the inning. And now here comes a new Reds closing. With Chapman gone, they give the ball to JJ. Fox Sports Ohio, brought to you by Toyota. For over 30 offers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota. Well, baseball is back, and FS1 begins the season on Thursday. Prince Fielder and the defending AL West champion Rangers take on Mike Trout and the Angels. America's home for baseball all season long, FS1, or watch it live on Fox Sports Go. The Reds erupt for 5 in the bottom of the 8th inning. It is not a save situation now with a 4-run lead. Nonetheless, J.J. Hoover is now the Reds closer.
Well, he wants to be the man. Whether he gets a save out of this or not, really not important to J.J. Hoover. He's the one guy that came into spring training this year in the bullpen with a job pretty much defined. It was his job to lose Hoover as the job of the closer. And he turned around the season. Last year he went 8-2, had a really good earned run average, just had an excellent season overall after having a 2014 where he was 1 win and 10 losses. And it really couldn't have gotten worse for JJ.
And you know, really, you look at his 4 years in the major leagues, and 3 of the 4 have been quite good. But boy, that 1 year was really rough. Carlos Ruiz to start things in the Philadelphia ninth. He will be followed by Hunter and then Borges. Reds trying to nail down this opening day victory. You know, both of these teams through the history of baseball have really struggled on opening day. Fly ball down the left field line. Did he get it? Oh boy, did he get it. That is an unbelievable catch out in left field by Tyler Holt. That's one of the reasons he really caught the eye of Brian Price and his staff. His all-out play.
This is going to be a fair ball if he doesn't get it. Not only does he get the out, but he saves an extra base hit to start the inning off. That is a dandy.
What a great play by Holt. Man, what a play. You'll see that plenty of times later tonight. Strike one on Cedric Hunter. Fastball is high. Boy, Reds pitching today has just been so good. I mean, look, it's only the first game. Nobody's trying to sell you something that you know, that you may not want or that may not be there, quite honestly. But all you can do is the old adage, but it's so true, is you go game by game and you just look at the results on that particular day. And on this particular day, on opening day, the first game of the regular season, this bullpen has been as good as you could ask it to be.
Well, the main reason why is they throw strikes. They've only walked one batter all game long. And when you do that, good things happen.
Jumbo Diaz goes an inning and a third. Perfect. Cingrani a third, a strikeout, the only walk of the day. And then Ohlendorf, who right now is in line for the win, struck out the only batter he faced in his Reds debut. It's not a bad way to get the fans on your side. Make your Reds debut, get a strikeout and a win.
Might be the first time in his career that he's had a 1/3 of an inning win. Doesn't happen very often.
No. In the air, and Hamilton! Are you kidding me? Holt to start the inning. Hamilton for the second out of the inning.
There are no holes in that outfield right now.
That right there is as good as it gets.
Well, our perch, Tom, that ball looked like it had no chance of being caught. Billy Hamilton simply outran the baseball. Man, that is some defense.
Boy, J.J. Hoover thinking, I must be living right. Because that could easily be back-to-back doubles to begin this inning. But Holt down the left field line, a diving catch to his right. Hamilton stabs it before it hits the ground to his left. And now the Phillies down to their final strike. One-two pitch. And the Reds on opening day rally in the eighth to beat Philadelphia 6-2. You know, you look back on that bottom of the eighth inning. And of course, we're going to talk about the big double by Votto and the big double or two-run single by Bruce. But you know, that double by Schebler, that's as big a hit as the Reds had in that eighth inning after a leadoff walk to set the table. And the Reds relief pitching, 3 innings of no-hit, shutout baseball, allowing only 1 base runner. Not a bad way to get 2016 started, wouldn't you say? 6-2 our final. We're back in a moment.